What's happening, guys? We're back, and today we're going to be mounting the most important part on this car, at least according to my wife. Alright, so the part that we're going to be mounting today is our heater core. This is pretty much a necessity if I ever want my wife to come for a ride with me, because she's perpetually cold. Also, it's required by law. We're gonna put a windshield on this car eventually, and in Alberta, if you have a windshield, you have to have a defrost circuit, so you need to have a heater core of some sort. So I bought this one off Summit Racing. It was basically the smallest one that I could get that I think would fit the bill and the best kind of packaged unit, but we need to find some place to mount it. I had initially thought about mounting it in the engine compartment and then just plumbing the heat back into the car, but over concerns of fumigating myself, I'm not going to do that. So we need to mount it in the actual passenger compartment, and the only place that we really have room for it is kind of right here, kind of right above the passenger's legs. Side benefit, it'll put the heater right next to my wife's feet and hopefully keep her a little bit warmer. The problem with this solution is there's not quite enough room in between the firewall and the back of the dash to mount this guy. And then in addition, some bellend decided it'd be a great idea to have the firewall slope backwards. So if I go to mount this onto the firewall, it actually hangs down and would basically smash into the passenger's legs all the time. So we need to modify the firewall. So that's our plan for today. We are going to trace this kind of box shape out on the firewall, and then we'll cut that piece out. We'll bend it back straight up and down, and then fill in the gaps so we have a nice vertical surface, and then we can mount this guy to that. And then we'll build some sort of a brace that'll come up and over the passenger's legs to hold the other end, and then we'll have a heater. And then obviously we'll have to plumb it in, but we'll do that sometime later. So let's trace this guy out onto the firewall and then make another hole in it. we got everything finished welded. I also waited like 4 hours to let it cool off because it was smoking hot. So some of our welds turned out really, really nice. Some of them turned out like garbage. So we're gonna linish all this back just like we did on the pedal cover. So I got a new flapper disc on the grinder there. We'll take and smooth all these back, make it look like it was always meant to be one piece. And then I'm also going to whip out the die grinder with a carbide burr and come in here on the back side. There's a couple of kind of ridges where the plate didn't quite meet up perfectly with the hole because we took a flat plate like this and stood it up. So there's a little ridge in there. So we'll grind that back so there's no sharp edges so we don't cut ourselves when we're working inside of this thing. And then should be ready to install it. So let's give it a go. All right, that looks pretty good in there. There's enough room now, at least to slip the dashboard in and out. And the bottom of the heater doesn't protrude under the dashboard, so you won't smash your knees on it. So I'm happy with that. The little kind of box situation came out looking okay, pretty par for the course. My welds were substandard at best, but it does the job. So the next step is going to be mounting the heater. It's got these 4 little 1/4 inch threaded bolt holes on each side. So the firewall side's easy. We just need to mark out and drill 4 holes. But the rear end, the other end, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be a little bit tougher because we're going to have to build a bracket that goes all the way across kind of the passenger footwell here. I can't mount it to the dash bars because the dash slides in behind it. So we're gonna have to come up with something creative on that front. But I don't have time for that tonight anyhow. So we're gonna leave it here. Catch up with you guys tomorrow. And we're back. I got one more day to work in the shop today, so we'll try to use it wisely. So I wanna get the heater mounted by the end of today. We got the front mounts figured out with the firewall. All we gotta do is drill a couple of holes, run some 1/4 inch bolts in. But to mount the back of the heater, we need some sort of brace that's gonna go over top of the passenger's footwell. Very similar to what we did on the driver's side. So we'll take and drill a couple holes in the chassis and then just build an angle iron kind of hoop that goes over top of it. I'm all out of steel angle iron right now. I probably shouldn't be. That seems like something I should probably have on hand at all times. But I did just find like 20 feet of aluminum angle iron, which I have no idea what I bought it for. So we're gonna try using that. Should be very similar to steel, but we don't need the strength here. It's just holding up the heater and maybe some other components will get mounted to it in the future, but doesn't need a huge amount of strength. So we got that pulled out. We will throw the heater in here. I grabbed a piece of steel. We'll block it up with some wood, get it kind of situated where we want it, take a couple measurements, and build a bracket. So let's get after it. All right, that works awesome. You can't even see it, which I guess is what's supposed to happen. You don't see the heater unit in most cars. So that works really well. The little bracket works good. There's a few things I need to clean up on it, some edges that I need to sand off, and I need to fire some nutserts into the chassis. But right now, that's as far as we're gonna go on that. The firewall mount works great. We drilled some holes there. I am gonna have to put a spacer on the bottom because the heater does sit a little bit climbed up so that we wouldn't see it here. But I'll do that later. So that's as far as I'm gonna go today, guys. Next week, I don't know, maybe we'll run the fuel line. We've been threatening to do that for like a month now. We'll see what happens. But until then, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media, and we'll see you next week. I'm out of here.